The writer of Hebrews was writing to believers who lived in the first century. And believers in the first century were suffering for their faith. Suffering for their faith. Before they came to Christ, they lived a normal life. They lived like all of the pagans lived. No challenges, no insults, no reproaches. But when they became a believer and they confessed that Jesus was Lord, suddenly they became a gazing stock. And that word gazing stock is the word theatrons, where we get the word for a theater, a theater. Well, now you've got to know something about the theater in the first century. By the time of the first century, the theater had degenerated into a horrible, disgusting place where people were mocked. In fact, they wore theatrical masks. They would come on stage and they would play the parts of other people. And the reason they wore theatrical masks was because the person wearing the mask used such mockery of other people, he didn't want anybody to know who it was that was saying these insulting, vulgar words of mockery. The mask was a cover-up so you could say horrible, horrible things. They would ridicule, they would make fun of, they would disparage each other, and the stage had degenerated into this low-level, crude place of mockery. And because the Roman society itself was degenerating, their taste for entertainment degenerated with the rest of society. And the lower, the cruder, the lewder, the ruder the program, the more people came to see the show. So now the seats of the theater are jam-packed as they watch a whole show filled with debase, mockery of the very lowest kind. Insults, insults, insults. And now the writer of Hebrews says about believers, you have become a theater because of your faith, because of what you believe, because you've made a proclamation or a confession of faith. Suddenly you've been put on the stage. And everyone is in the audience and they're all watching. They're watching Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4. They're watching all the way from the beginning to end. They're laughing. And he particularly says, you suffered reproaches and afflictions. The word reproaches means insults, insults. It's amazing that when you take a step of faith, most people don't step forward to say, bravo, good job. Instead, they say, who in the world do you think you are to think that you, of all people, are going to do that? Who do you think you are? You don't have the education for that. And the moment you make a bold declaration of faith that you're going to change the world or start a business or become a millionaire or you're going to be a pastor or do something, sing a song, people buy a seat to the theater and they take a seat to watch, to see what's really going to happen. And everybody talks to each other. They talk about it around the dinner table. They talk about it in the car. They talk about it on the telephone. What do you think? Will he make it? Will he make it? They're all waiting to see you trip, to see you fall, because you made a declaration of faith. And not only do people come against you, but the Bible says afflictions, and the word afflictions is the word thalipsis. This word thalipsis describes a high-pressure situation when you feel like life has just put you under the squeeze. Now, you know what's amazing? You don't experience these kinds of insults and life-threatening situations until you attempt to do something. When you never attempt to do anything, you're not on the stage. Nobody talks about you around the dinner table. You are not the subject of gossip. You do not become a spectacle until you make a declaration. And when you make a declaration is when people begin to line up to express their opinions, their ideas, their doubts. Will he? Won't he? Can she? What do you think? They all buy a ticket, and rather than encourage you, they're all there to see when's he going to fall. You just need to know this goes along with making a step of faith. Now, I'm not trying to encourage you that it's going to be bad. I'm just trying to arm you. You need to know that everybody won't rejoice the day that you take a step of faith. But the day you make a declaration, you leave private life and you enter the public world. And everybody is going to make an opinion about you. That's what the Bible says. And in fact, it really can be translated, you were made a theater. You became a spectacle of entertainment. On account of your faith, you became the best show in town. So if you're a little disappointed today because you haven't felt the support of more people, hey, join the rest of us that have taken a step of faith. Ignore their voices and just do what God has told you to do. And if they're watching for a good show, make sure they get the best show they've ever seen in their lives. As you finish on time, you finish in victory, finishing what you started to do. Let them make sure they see the power of God demonstrated in your life.